Hey, friends. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. Come join me, your host, Nicole, for some hope-filled conversations about heartfelt entertainment that makes your heart swing. Hey, Hallmarkies. Welcome to the Swing My Heart podcast. I'm your host, Nicole, joined today by my good friend and fellow postable, Amanda, to review the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries Miracles of Christmas movie, To All a Good Night, starring Kimberly Susted and Mark Ganime. It was written by Betsy Morris and directed by Andy Makita. A small-town photographer saves the life of a mysterious man who may just be here to buy her family's parkland. Welcome back to the podcast, Amanda. I'm excited to chat with you today about this movie.
I'm excited to be here.
Of course. And it's been a while since you've been on the podcast.
Yeah.
The first time you were on, it was to review the SSD pilot movie.
Yep.
A little over a year and a half ago, I think.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. In fall 2021, sometime around there. It was before Vows came out. So it's been a while.
Yep.
But this will be fun. To start off our episode, would you like to share your overall thoughts and hot takes about the movie?
Sure. I loved this one.
Yeah.
I thought it was excellent. It dealt with a little more serious side of the holidays, but was like really raw and honest with, being able to really explore what it's like to go through the holidays when maybe it's not all, lights and rainbows. They were dealing with a lot of loss and dealing with grief and relationships. But I loved how that let the writers really it was really intense character development, right? We learned a lot about these characters, and I thought that was really cool because we don't always get that in the light and fluffy Christmas movies, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved the depth and the script. I thought the script was fantastic. One of the best movies maybe that they've done ever for the network. It was very good. And the acting was just out of the park. They killed it.
Yep. I agree completely.
Yes. Of course, the Postables know Kimberly as Melissa Wheeler in Dark of Night. And I know Mark from Virgin River.
Same.
Yeah. Two fantastic actors, and I loved their chemistry together.
I agree. And did you notice Mrs. Benson was the lady who played Evelyn?
Oh, yes.
On Signed, Sealed, Delivered as well.
Yes, that is right.
The older lady that made the dresses.
Yes, that is right. I remember her. And I know her as well from Riverdale. Yes. But yeah, she was on SSC too. And I loved seeing her in this movie.
Yeah, she's so cute.
Yeah.
Her and her husband, they were sweet.
Yes. I think one of my favorite parts of this movie also was the relationship between Sam and Ella, who was his cousin. I thought that was
she was so cute.
Yes, she's been in a lot of stuff, and I've always enjoyed her movies that she's done.
I liked seeing the development between Sam and his dad as well.
Yeah.
That scene at the end where he invited his dad to come
that was very sweet.
The tree lighting. Like, you could tell his dad was really trying to connect with him after everything that had gone on, and they were struggling to kind of do that. And he kind of found a way to build that bridge. I loved it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And speaking of favorite scenes, do we want to get into our holiday highlights, which are the best or key moments? Would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm going to start with the motorcycle scene where he had the crash and the two of them met. I thought that was really well done. The fact that he couldn't see her but recognized who she was, and she had no idea who he was, but they were having this sweet little banter back and forth, even though he was like half out of it. And it really kind of set the scene for their relationship going forward.
Yeah. I did love how he asked her to marry him. Yes. And that was just kind of a thread throughout the movie, and we found out more towards the end. And I liked the way they did that. I thought that was very well done.
Yes, and her just agreeing to it. Yes, of course I'll marry you. Sure, just don't die.
Yes, just that was hard to watch because he was like, well, if I die, then at least I'll have a beautiful woman holding my hand. And I was like, no, you can't leave.
Well, I think that was another thing this movie did beautifully was that there were a lot of like kind of sad or heavy scenes, but then they would weave in these little funny moments that would kind of take that off a little bit. Like the dog would show up in
Max the
between,
dog.
would show up in between these really heavy scenes and you'd be like, oh, this really hurts. I'm going to cry. And then the dog comes through with a shoe in his mouth and you're like, okay, I can breathe for a second before they moved on. So they really did a good job of kind of balancing the heavy with the silly.
Yeah, I think so too. One scene that I really enjoyed was at the beginning when Cece meets the young girl Lana and she helps her find her stuffed reindeer. I thought that was really sweet.
Well, and that's the little girl that she circles back to that recognizes the necklace.
Yes, yep.
So like that was very pivotal that she pointed out the necklace in that scene so that they could circle back, and she was the one that kind of outed her when she was trying to hide who she was by pointing out that necklace. Like, where's your necklace? You always wear it. And then Sam was like, knew it.
Yep. Yes. And they talk about the necklace in that first scene together too. And I love that. And Remy, who is the actor, she is a wonderful young actor. And she was on When Calls the Heart this season.
Oh.
As one of the Hope Valley kids. Yeah.
Very cute.
Yes.
Yeah, she's a cute little girl.
Yes. I also really enjoyed the photo shoot that Cece had with the Bensons. It was pretty brief, but I thought that the Bensons were a sweet couple.
They were really sweet. And I think that kind of foreshadowed maybe a little bit of like that long-term love that everybody's looking for. Like it's attainable. This sweet old couple is there. Proof of life. And how he talked about how it's easier dating now because you can just send a text and ask a girl out, where back then you had to face them and actually, talk to a woman, even if you were nervous. Like it was so sweet.
Yes. Yeah, I love that kind of, I guess, old time love. I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Traditional. Well, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but like old fashioned, talking face to face. That's what I like. Yeah. What did you think about Cece's mother, Vivian, and all of their scenes that they had together?
I think that kind of just displayed what miscommunication or lack of communication can do. I think if the two of them had just spoken to each other directly, that a lot of the stuff that was going on with them maybe could have been avoided. Her stepmom, I think, was just kind of afraid to talk to her directly, or maybe she just wasn't like that. Like coming from the military, never having had a daughter before, like maybe she just didn't know how to communicate exactly what she wanted from their relationship and like how she was feeling towards Cece. But it was nice to see the growth of that. And at the end, when they came together and finally had the conversation of, they both wanted the same thing, right? Like they both wanted to have that relationship, I think, with each other, even though Cece couldn't admit it at first and the stepmom couldn't, but they really came around to recognizing they needed each other to lean on through the grief that they were going through.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite scenes with them was at the end when they're talking about all the letters that her stepdad had written to all of the men and women in the army or the military who, maybe just needed some support and comfort. Thought that was really nice.
Yeah, that whole story was so sweet that he would reach out to the different military officers and really try to remind them that,
they're not alone. Yeah,
exactly. That's so sweet. And that he sent the letters every Christmas and that was so sweet.
Yes. And then she talks about the relationship that she had with Cece's father, Vivian, that is, and how they met and how even though he was sick, she married him anyway because she wanted to spend every hour with him that he had left.
Yeah. Sweet.
Very touching. Yeah. And I also loved, I think it was kind of in the middle of the movie, kind of going towards the end, when Sam and Cece are at the lookout point, overlooking the water. And Vivian says she's going to give Willow Glen to Cece.
So I like how they set that up, and she was like, well, I am going to sell it after Christmas. And you're like,
to you.
Oh, no, she's not. And then she's like, to you for $1. And you're like, oh.
Yes.
I didn't want her to be the villain. I was like, hold on, what are they doing?
No, I didn't want her to be the villain either. I always love Karen, and she's one of my favorite Hallmark supporting actors, I guess.
Yeah.
She needs her own movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes.
I liked the little scene they threw in. It was short, where they were in the studio, and I think her name was Pam, the friend. Her husband Ryan came in to visit, and he spoke ASL.
Oh yeah, Penny. Penny was her name.
Penny. And they think that they're talking behind his back in sign language, but he knows it, and he just starts, oh yeah. And then he just starts speaking in ASL, and he's like something about being like a city man with mystery or something like that. Yeah. And they're all like, hold on, ASL. And he's like,
yeah, that was one too that I wrote down that I really loved. Yeah. One that kind of made me laugh was when Cece has brought the Christmas burger from Sally's to Sam, and then she leaves, and Ella comes in, and Ella's asking all these questions, and she suggests him coming back with her after he's recovered, and then going back for his motorcycle later, and he's like, and leave the love of my life, Sally.
Oh, he was obsessed with those burgers. I want one of those burgers. I want a
Sally burger. I actually do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that he kept trying to take her back out to Sally Burger, and she's like, you do know we have more than one restaurant in this town, right? And he's like,
yep. Yes, that was really funny.
I like when she invites him to the Santa letter writing party thing.
Oh yeah, that was
and
sweet.
Tells him it's a pajama party, and he shows up in that full-blown man onesie. And she's like, a man in a onesie.
I loved the reindeer onesie.
Yes. She's like, it's so soft.
Yes. And I could be wrong, but I feel like that looks like the exact same onesie that the guy in the Santa Summit wore that played.
I bet it is. They probably shared it. They probably shared it on the sets.
Maybe. Oh my goodness. But that was a great scene. And of course, that is when Lana also
outs
Cece for the necklace, and she puts it on.
And then the kissing scene, I love at the tree.
Oh yeah,
they're doing that, and she's like, well, "If you were thinking about kissing me, now would be a great time."
That kiss, I was like, okay, Hallmark. They're really up in their kissing scenes over the past year or two. And
turn the heat up a little bit.
Yeah, they're turning the heat up. Yep. I think another one of my favorite scenes between Sam and Cece is when they're in town, and they're just walking down the street, and she's talking about how To All a Good Night got started.
That's so sweet. And the whole tradition is so sweet, how the town comes together to make sure that everyone else is taken care of as well. And I love that people who could give as much as they wanted, but then those that couldn't could hand in that empty envelope without being judged or looked at or anything. And everyone just gave what they could to make sure that everyone had a good Christmas, and they got a sweet party as a community. Like, pretty awesome.
Yes. Do you have any special or favorite Christmas traditions that you do with your family every year?
So for Christmas Eve, I cook hibachi food, and we all have that for dinner. And then on Christmas Day, it's become a running joke that my husband and I have dinosaur onesies.
Aww.
And so we do Christmas dinosaur.
Aww.
So that's what we wear while opening presents with my kids.
Aw, that sounds fun. I love that.
It's funny.
Yeah. I always enjoy hearing everyone's different favorite Christmas traditions.
How about your family?
For my family, we always go to my grandmother's on my mom's side for the holiday. And on Christmas Eve, we go to our Christmas Eve church service, the candlelight service. And then we come back to my grandmother's house and we have dinner, which normally is like pizza, chips and salsa and dip and chicken fingers. We have a whole mixture of things to eat. And of course, we have sweets too, like Christmas cookies, gingerbread. And then we read the Christmas story and open gifts.
Aw.
So that's always a lot of fun. And I have a big family on my mom's side. So I have 9 first cousins. My mom has 3 brothers. So big family. And 2 of my cousins have kids. So one has one little girl who I think is about to be 7, I believe. And then one of my other cousins has 3 little girls. I think one turned 10, I think sometime last year. And for our gift exchange, it used to be where everyone would get everyone else something, but that just got to be way too expensive. So we started drawing names. So kind of like a Secret Santa is how we do it
fun.
now. Yeah. And then Christmas Day, we just normally have dinner, and a couple of my family will come over, like aunts and uncles and cousins. Really laid back. And we'll watch Hallmark.
Same. Hallmark movies are also great for all the Christmas wrapping. I don't know how many movies I went through while wrapping Christmas presents. Like, it's always just Hallmark movies and wrapping for a week.
Yes. And fingers crossed, this is off topic, but hopefully the Postables will get another Christmas movie this year.
You know, that would be a really nice Christmas present for the Postables. They've been very, very good boys and girls.
Yes.
They've been very patient.
Yes. Hallmark should make that a tradition, an SSD Christmas movie every year.
I think that would be an excellent idea. I'm not sure who we need to talk to about that. We've talked to a lot of people, but maybe somebody will listen to this one.
Yeah. I mean, When Calls the Heart did it, so why can't SSD?
Right?
That could be a new tradition for all the Postables.
Aw, that would be awesome.
Yes. Yes. But anyway, back to the movie. We got a little off track there for a second.
That's okay. SSD does that.
Yes, but that's what makes these episodes fun. So.
Yes.
Another scene I really enjoyed was when Sam helped Cece with the photo shoot as her assistant. And, was dressing up in all the costumes with everyone. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, that was cute when she was like, "Are you free? And are you free?"
Yes. And I kind of related to Cece just a little bit with the photography aspect, because photography is one of my passions. So,
oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I always love photography. I actually thought about that as my college degree, but when I was applying, my college counselor encouraged me to do graphic design. But graphic design is great too, so you can't go wrong with either one. You can use
photography with graphic design too, can't you? Like, take the pictures and then manipulate them with graphic design skills?
Yeah, Photoshop. Yeah. So, yeah. But I have thought about going and getting a photography, maybe certificate or something, another degree, like a smaller degree.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to chase your passions.
Yes, I love photography, so that would be fun. Maybe someday. I think this is one of my top favorite scenes between Sam and Cece when they are on the hike and, she's talking more about Willow Glen and how both she and her dad grew up there or her stepdad. And, then she goes on talking about how her parents met on the cruise ship and then they got married. And then I think as soon as they got back, they found out that he was sick and then he passed away a month later. That was tough.
Yeah.
And then, they're talking a little bit more about, her plan for Harmony Bay and her dad. And then Sam comforting Cece that melted my heart and also just made me cry a puddle of tears.
Yeah. Well, you knew that he recognized and understood her grief, right? Him sharing that he had lost his three friends
In the military, yeah.
in battle and all that
Mm-hmm.
he knows exactly how she feels when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
loss and all that. So he was kind of the perfect person to be there.
Yeah.
And her dad knew that, right? That's why
Mm-hmm.
he asked him to check on her. He knew he would understand what she
Yeah.
was going through.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That kind of ties into the scene where he's finally having to tell the truth about
Yeah.
who he is, because she confronts him with that letter, and she finds the letter
Yeah.
that her dad had sent him, and
Yeah.
he had that letter memorized. When he's like, would you
Mm-hmm.
like me to read it to you, and then just starts
Mm-hmm.
voicing exactly what the letter said without having to
Yeah.
look at it again. You could tell he had imprinted that into
Mm-hmm.
his brain, into his heart. Like, he felt it. And then the fact that her dad asked him to show up after he had passed to make sure his
Mm-hmm.
daughter was okay. Like, even in death, he was looking out
Oh,
for Cece, right? Like,
yeah.
ugh. And then for him
Yeah.
to explain everything he had been through and how he had almost died and his friends had died, and how her dad just really kind of reached out and gave him that
Mm-hmm.
lifeline that pulled him back from like the
Mm-hmm.
depths of despair. Just, oh, and you're feeling for him. And then she gets mad, and she's just like, well, you weren't honest with me. And she cuts him off, and it's just like, you can leave now. And I was like, oh,
I was like, what are you doing?
yeah, I was like, that's so mean. I was like, I get that you're mad that he wasn't honest. Like, I get it, but neither were
Yeah.
you, because you lied about who you were. And
Yeah.
then now
Very true.
he's gonna pour his heart out, and you're just gonna be like, later. Like, ugh, that was painful to
I know
watch.
that I was watching it earlier when I was trying to finish my notes, and that scene I was just crying.
Yep, I've watched it multiple times, and every
Yeah.
time I cry. And every time I'm like, why are you kicking him out? You should be trying to make him feel better. Do you not remember
Yeah.
he was just consoling you? Like, and he's telling you all of these things that are so honest
Yeah.
and raw. And nope, she's like, later.
I was about to ask you what you thought of that scene because that was one of the best scenes in the movie, in my opinion, but still tough, especially
Yeah.
because she just basically kicks him out. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep. Oh, no, that scene was it was so well done. And
Mm-hmm.
he was just so honest with it. Like, you could
Yeah.
feel every bit of what was coming out of his
Yeah.
mouth. And it hurt my heart. And then it hurt my
Mm-hmm.
heart that she made him leave.
Mm-hmm. I know. They they always bring the emotion, no
Yeah.
matter what roles they do, especially Kimberly. I don't know a lot of Mark's work, but from Virgin River as well. Yeah, he's a fantastic actor.
Yes. Oh, I love him.
Yes. I think the last two scenes I'll mention that really stood out were the To All a Good Night celebration and then the very last scene with Sam and Cece on the lookout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are both great scenes.
Yeah.
It was nice getting to see what the To All a Good Night tradition looked like after all of the
Yeah.
talk about it. And it was absolutely beautiful. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why. I mean, I get that she was grieving, but like,
Mm-hmm.
you could see how much joy that celebration brought
Yeah.
everybody, and it really did bring it to her too. So it
Mm-hmm.
was wonderful that her stepmom and Sam could make her see that that was going to be a healing experience for her,
Yeah.
because it really seemed to be.
Yeah. I agree. And the last scene with Sam and Cece on the cliff, they're talking about the joke from her dad about, how her camera got its name of King Arthur.
Yeah, she would call her camera Cam, and her dad's like, "Wow, you bring Cam a lot." And she's like, Camelot,
King
King
Arthur. Yeah,
Arthur.
that was very clever. And then, of course, Sam mentions he's staying in Harmony Bay and they share a kiss and live happily ever after.
Well, and he brings up the marriage proposal, and
He
she's
does.
like, "Are you really bringing that up right now? I didn't say which Christmas," which I am hoping circles back to a sequel so that we get
Yeah.
another Christmas in Harmony Bay and we get to see a wedding.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love a sequel to
Wouldn't
this
that be
movie.
awesome? Like, I feel
Yes.
like that was a little foreshadowing for the future, and I hope Hallmark picks up on that and brings it back.
Yes, I think so too. I would love more stories with these characters.
Yeah, the whole town. Like, I loved
Yeah.
the entire town of characters. They all were
Yeah.
so unique and funny, and even like the innkeeper friend and the best friend
Allison,
from
yeah.
they all had their own little
Yeah.
unique, interesting backstories to them that I think they could explore that entire town and have fun with it.
Yeah. And I loved Mrs. Rogers too, I think was her name.
Yes.
She was a fun character. And
Yes.
all the scenes with the dog, Max stealing shoes.
Just leaving the random stuff.
Yes. I think even in the scene when they're getting ready for To All a Good Night and they're putting up the ornaments on the tree, Cece walks by and, has a brief talk with Allison. And I can't remember word for word what she said, but Cece mentioned something about the dog and, how he should be in prison or something.
Yeah.
I cracked
Well,
up.
because the whole tree was covered in the stuff that that the dog had stolen from people. Because she was like, "What's the theme of your tree?" And she's like, "Oh, it's all the stuff that hasn't been picked up that Max took." And then it was her scarf sitting over the side of it, and she's like, "Yeah, your dog deserves to be in a penitentiary or something like that."
Yeah. I was cracking up. Oh my goodness.
The dog was hilarious.
Yes. A very cute dog too.
Yes, very cute.
Yes. I always
couldn't
love
stay
seeing
mad.
dogs in Hallmark movies. Yeah.
Same.
Yes. Were there any other notable scenes you wanted to mention before we wrap this up?
Think that covers it for me. I think we covered all the really good ones.
Yeah, I think we did. Fantastic movie. Great ensemble cast.
Yes.
Yeah. Great writing, great directing. One of the best movies that Hallmark's done, in my opinion. And I know I already said that, but
yep. No, it's easily in my top 3 from this Christmas.
yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, I think, in my top 10 as far as I can remember. Yeah. Well, this was so much fun, Amanda. Thank you for joining me. I always have a great time chatting with you.
Same. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. And I can't wait to have you back on again in the future.
Sounds great.
Maybe for another SSD movie, if we can get a renewal, please.
Listen, Hallmark, please.
Hashtag renew SSD.
That's right.
Hashtag open the DLO.
We're still waiting.
Still waiting, but we're trusting the timing.
There we go.
But
That's
anyway,
what Postables do best.
Yes, what Postables do best. But anyway, this was a great time, and I can't wait to do it again.
I can't wait.
All right, Hallmarkies, I think that wraps up our review of To All a Good Night. If you enjoyed this episode, you can like this video and share your thoughts on the movie in the comments. If you want to stay up to date on all of my episodes, you can subscribe to this channel and make sure to turn on the bell so you are alerted when new episodes come. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in the world, and we will see you next time. We love y'all. Bye.